Okay, welcome everyone. We've got an exciting guest here. It's none other than Alan from Generation Tech, along with our usual face here, Ben Hedges. How you doing, Ben?
Hey, pretty good.
Alan is been behind the scenes for this project, YouTube Viral Mastery, but we finally got him out of his Jedi cave to share some insights on this incredible story, really, of how you guys started this Generation Media. You've had 9, in fact, 10 channels, I believe. Congrats, Ben, on your 10th channel that you guys are launching with Ben Ryan. You can tell us a bit about that a little bit later. So, Alan, tell us about the story of how you guys met, the bromance. All right, like how many years ago did you guys meet? Tell us that journey and how it eventually morphed into Gen Media.
Well, I think it's almost a decade ago, more than a decade ago, I interned at a TV station in New York to do some local news. And I met Ben. He was a reporter and I was the camera guy. And we would basically just go around the city, go to interesting events and just kind of hang out, shoot stuff and create news packages. And later when I graduated from college, I went back to that same company and me and Ben would work again. We would do some pretty cool projects overseas in Taiwan because Ben, are you still a celebrity? You used to be a celebrity in Taiwan. I think he
like
still kind of is. And we would do some shoots. Yeah, we would do some shoots about traveling the island there. We did like a shoot for 7-Eleven. That was a lot of fun. We're basically having a lot of good times making videos. That's basically it.
Yeah, we use a lot of those clips in our promo videos. You and the 7-Eleven thing, running around Taiwan night markets, food markets. So pretty cool. So you guys were working on projects for many years. And then, at some point, who came up with the idea actually of, hey, let's, set up our own YouTube channel? You guys remember?
Maybe it was me. I don't know. Can you remember?
Was that you or was that me?
I think it might have been me because our friend Mike Chen.
I remember
our friend Mike Chen, who worked at the same company for a while, he did very well with YouTube. And I think when I saw that, I was like, you can do this too. And so I talked to Alan about it and we set up Generation Tech. It was originally supposed to be about what was the original idea for it? I can't even remember.
We knew what our demographic was. Let's just say that. We knew we wanted to target guys like us who were into science fiction, technology, gear, all that. We didn't really have a solid idea because it was kind of just a side project for side income. It wasn't really a serious thing. And I don't think we put a lot of thought into it in the beginning.
No, you also got to start somewhere. But actually, when you guys took off, I was doing this. I was doing the stats and I was blown away. Like you started in November 2015, right? And I think Ben and both you guys were just part-timers doing a few hours a day on it. And I think it was the 6th or 7th video that you uploaded was who's your daddy, right? Who's Ray's father? Who came up with that title or that, angle? Was that you, Alan? You were the Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah, I just seen Force Awakens, and I came out of the theater. Well, I remember I was in the theater. I was like, "Oh, wait, this will be a really good YouTube video." So I started jotting down notes when I was watching the movie. Wow. And you have to wait a few days for the illegal version to get online. So I went back and saw it in the theater like a second time to get more notes on it. And sometimes when you have a really good concept for a video, you're almost sure it's going to succeed. So you're more willing to do a lot of work, and that's kind of what that was. Like I talked to Ben about it. He also agreed, it was going to be a successful thing, and
it took off
together. It's called what? Tentpole programming, right?
Yeah,
that
tentpole programming.
The really big question I think a lot of people had coming out of that movie.
Yeah, that was brilliant. It was a brilliant. 2-3 days after the movie came out, you released that video. It was within a week. You got in early.
I think he was the first person to do it as well.
Yeah, that was genius. And that went on, and I think
maybe
went through a second. Maybe someone else did it.
But someone else did it before you?
Yeah, not important.
Yeah, not important. In the first few.
Channel did it before us. Yeah,
sure. But you guys hit 100,000 views on that one. And you went from a whopping 62 subscribers to over 1,000. Now that's not bad for the first month of getting into any YouTube channel. but the moral of the story is you don't build a channel off one viral video, right? But what it did for you guys was consolidate the idea of maybe, become a Star Wars channel, right? So was that an obvious conclusion or epiphany, or it took a little bit while longer before you realized maybe we should really focus on Star Wars? Alan, what was the
before that video went viral, I did try some Star Wars content because I just knew that, there was the revival of Star Wars. And growing up, I watched a lot of the movies and the cartoons, but what I was really into was reading all the books. And there's a lot of lore, information, and interesting aspects about that universe that people don't generally know about and talk about. So I thought it'd be cool to eventually start fleshing these things out. But I think in the beginning, we were still trying a bunch of different things, and just, we were going for a lot of tentpole kind of events.
Strategies. But eventually you did just focus exclusively on Star Wars stuff, which was what really built up the channel. It was brilliant. Yeah. So I want to talk about really the a concept that's really been part of, my strategy over the 20 years I've been in business, which is finding partners, the importance of building the right team. And a lot of, aspiring YouTubers are out there wanting to, build their own business, build their own brand. The second most important factor, this is a great TED talk you guys should check out by Bill Gross, Gross. But he's got this great TED talk, went super viral, about the 5 biggest keys to success of any startup. You can Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. And he talks about, is it the funding? Is it how much money you have in the bank? That is the most important thing. Is it the business model? Is it just making YouTube ads, affiliates, promoting sponsors, whatever? Or is it the idea? Is it the fact that you've got this brilliant Star Wars channel concept? Or is it actually team? In fact, team is the second most important factor, which is, you guys obviously built a very strong team, just the two of you guys, because you had a lot of experience both editing and shooting, and, obviously having built a successful channel before at the TV network, right? But not doing it yourself until this new venture. But the first most important thing is the mega trend. Do you think, the whole timing is everything, as they say in business? I think, were there a lot of YouTube channels talking about Star Wars, or not too many, or you were the first to do something that was a little bit unique, high production, perhaps better quality? What do you think was, some of the keys to success for your Gen Tech Star Wars angle?
I think it's, you're talking about some of the right things there. I think it was definitely at a time where there weren't many channels talking about Star Wars. There were a few big ones, but we looked at them and we're like, well, we could probably do better content than these guys, and we can make more interesting content. Up until this point, we realized a lot of channels were just looking up. There's something called Wikipedia. It's kind of like Wikipedia but for Star Wars. But people would just look up articles, literally read them word for word. No analysis, no anything, and kind of get into it and just make videos. And those kind of videos do very well on YouTube. It's not a perfect system. So we realized, okay, we can add a little bit of our own analysis. Our production value maybe increase a little bit, and just do interesting things.
No, it's brilliant. No, I think it's it spanned many generations. I grew up in the 70s, to give you an idea how old I am. And I literally remember watching Star Wars before you guys were born in the cinema in 1977. So, I think, it spans so many generations. I'm sure you've got some fans who are in their 40s like me, all the way down to just teenagers, right? So it's a brilliant niche, or niche, as they say. So let's move on, right? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, there are very few franchises like Star Wars that are big enough to sustain an audience just for a niche YouTube channel. I think that is what makes it a very special channel. And among Star Wars fans, there's a big demographic breakup. You have guys like your generation who really like the original trilogy. My generation, they like the prequels. It's actually there's genres within the Star Wars universe too that are like very different. So like tastes can vary very much. It's such a huge fan base.
We had Die Hard. You know, the original were the best. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm sure. But well, you can have me as a guest perhaps one day. But talk about, you know, the partnership, because partnerships in theory are great, but in practice they often fail, just like relationships and anything. You know, what were some of the struggles that you guys had in the early days? You know, creative angles, business decisions. How did you manage to navigate that without killing yourselves?
Well, I think it's because me and Ben we had a relationship going beforehand. We'd done jobs, you know, we've run small business together, you know, before. And mainly it's because I trust Ben and he's like a friend of mine. And this might not be like the best advice to be going into business with your friends. But like, for me, I've always, like, I know my weaknesses are like management. I'm not good at managing people. I'm not good at building like, you know, some kind of hierarchy in my company. So it's always been lateral for me. So, you know, when I looked at Ben, I was like, let's just be 50-50 partners. Yep. We'll coordinate when we want to, but for the most part, let's just both try to, you know, generate income and good content for the company. And if we have any disagreements, there's only two of us. We don't necessarily need a contract or anything. We can probably just talk to each other and like, you know, figure out things. And it is like a relationship, you know, it is a relationship in many ways when you build a company like this. And it's actually very important to constantly be in contact with one another and, you know, talk about, you know, how things are going. And generally we haven't had any like major fights about anything.
Yeah, right? I can probably count on like one hand the amount of times we've been at each other's throats.
give us an example.
I want immediately step back.
Yeah, we generally are pretty good, you know, but you've got to keep communication. Actually, that's an important thing. Like I remember Alan used to call me once a day when we first started, and now we talk like once a week because we live in different areas, but we still working on a lot of the same projects. But you got to keep communication, because if you don't communicate for a while, someone starts to maybe have a different idea of what something should be, you know, and then you've got your idea of it. And then if that goes on too long, you're like going in different directions, and then you start to have a conflict, you know? Yeah, you've also got to make sure there's a balance in what you bring in terms of the income into the company and stuff. So you can adjust how much people get paid depending on how much
to be whatever's fair and equitable, right? So sometimes someone puts a little bit more effort, or their channel. Like, how did you start off? Like, were you all just doing Generation Tech? My understanding was you just did one channel initially for the first 12 months or so before you did Credit Shufu, right?
Tech and Credit Shufu were both running at the beginning. But
at the very beginning, I think. I'm looking at the stats here. I think. Oh, maybe Credit Shufu started
a little later.
A little bit later, right?
Yeah. But when it became a serious business, they were both running.
Okay.
And but I was still doing 2 videos a week for Generation Tech. And it was only when Credit Shufu started to become bigger that I kind of shifted over to that. I did that full time. And then now I've actually come back to do, I occasionally do a Generation Tech video, but now I do 1 video a week for Generation Films, which is our joint venture, which is growing and could potentially be as big as Generation Tech or bigger in the not too distant future. So it adjusts over time, you know.
Got it. So like, let's be clear. I mean, I'm just thinking from a listener's point of view. When you started, how many videos did you do a week for Gen Tech? Just the two of you guys? Were you like, I'll do 2 videos a week, Ben, and you do? Alan was like,
it's always 4, and we just alternated, you know.
Okay. All right. So you just took on.
Although for a little bit, like really the catalyst for GT was I had lost my job. Okay. So like in the beginning, like I was doing dailies because it was just the pressure. It was just like, all right, either I'm going into contracting, you know, for video production, or I'm going to be a YouTuber. So like that was the period of time when we did do almost, I think, daily uploads for like.
Yeah, you did. 3 months. You did daily uploads for a while. At the beginning, I was like, tell you what, you just take the channel, because I've still got a job.
Yeah.
And but then Alan afterwards was like, hey, I've built it to be quite, you know, a lot bigger. Why don't you come quit your job as well, and we'll do it together? So
that's a huge trust factor.
I didn't want to do it by myself. It's because I knew Ben. I had like Ben's a really trustworthy person. Like I've always trusted him as a person. Like so, I was like, I could be successful doing this, working my ass off, but like, it's not that fun working by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's legitimately too much work. And you can't always be on like 100% all the time. I'm not that kind of person. So it was a no-brainer calling Ben in, and having him really just develop his own stuff. So, yeah.
No, it's brilliant. So I think that's a great, and hearing Ben was like, hey, why don't you just take the channel, right? Even though you both started together, and then you went really heavy, right, Alan? You went like 4 months straight, I think, in 2017, about a year into it, and that took the channel to that next level. I think you got to about, I was looking at the stats before chatting with you. You guys went from 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers. It took about a year to get to that point. But then after Alan went literally full time for about 4 months, churning out a video a day, it went to about 20,000 subscribers. So that's quite significant. And then it just took off.
The dailies don't necessarily mean huge growth. Like, so he went through we definitely had a great growth period.
Yep.
And when I came into the company full time, me and Alan would plan the content together. And it was when we started having a really solid plan for content. So Alan suggested to me to do this real size of Star Wars ships video, right?
That was a great franchise.
I went and did it. And then we both had this sort of like plan of the content, and we did a series, and that series was our first like immensely successful series. We both did videos for it, but the key thing is it was like very planned, because we knew we had this like viral idea. And so just to say to some people, like, it's really easy to burn out if you do videos every day, right? So just to kind of be like a warning that actually
some people are saying every day, and then in your training you should say because the algorithm optimizes every 48 hours or something, right? So you say suggesting maybe every 2 days is sufficient to get started.
Yeah, it depends what type of channel you are. If you're just a entertaining guy and you just literally talk to the camera and it doesn't take you that long, you could do every day, right?
Okay, got it. That's a good.
I would say dailies are effective. They're not efficient. I don't think that's the most efficient use of your time. But it will. I mean, a daily upload channel will most likely be better than one every other day as far as viewership and growth.
Okay,
that's from what I've seen. Yeah.
All right, but if you also put time, so if you can
for growth, like some people, they'll do videos every day while they're in their growth kind of phase.
Okay,
and then later on, they'll do videos every few days, but put a lot more thought and effort
through and the strategy and everything.
Sometimes that will be better. Sometimes that'll bring in more views. But also it's more like if you mess up with a video and you get very little views on it and you're doing it like every few days, then it's almost as if you didn't upload a video for like a week, right? Because, so there's more.
So there's that balance between production and, strategy, right? Really trying to think through what as you said, that's a great strategy. Once you get something that works, you just replicate and do a lot of it, like comparing Star Destroyers with Manhattan or whatever. That was brilliant. So great insight. So number one, that trust factor is so critical, and I always say to people, you want to find a partner who's like, if something goes wrong, they're not going to sue you. If something goes wrong, they're willing to just give you the business. And that's what you did, Ben. You said, oh, you run with it. And then Alan said, no, I want you to, work together. So that's, if you've got that level of trust, and, that's the best type of business partner where, of course, making money is important, but it's not as important as the friendship, let's say. So that's a rare type of friendship to have. But if you can do that. In terms of strengths, right? Like Ben, you were like already, experienced in terms of you've built, this other foreign language YouTube channel, Foreigners' View of China and Taiwan. You were like a bit of a celebrity in that. No, even though you didn't monetize it, you were just a nonprofit, intern employee type of thing. Were you concerned about Alan? Did Alan already have a lot of experience in front of the camera? I'm just curious. Did you ever is Alan going to be able to pull off being in front of the camera?
We were both in front of the camera in our Taiwan trip video. I mean, he was always a camera guy.
So I was just wondering, what did that process? How did you guys was that Alan? Did you always want to be in front of the camera, or were you just like or you always more the behind the scenes guy, but then realize, hey, I can do this?
I mean, I realize the value of being in front of the camera because of the way YouTube is structured. Having your face and image on something gives you a certain amount of influence. And that's really important in this game. Like, I honestly, I hate being in front of camera. I like being behind the scenes for the most part. And it was like a little difficult at first. Like, I was pretty awkward. You know, I had to like learn things. But the beautiful thing about YouTube is it's not necessarily like a professional grade kind of site. I mean, people expect to see, I guess, amateur people on there. I think it makes people comfortable to a certain degree that the people you're watching seem like normal people and not like A-list celebrities. So I think YouTube as a platform is okay with more amateur kind of
sure.
and stuff.
We don't all have to be Brad Pitt, but the point is, I think that's going to give a lot of comfort to people who go, hey, I'm not the perfect looking, what I'd imagine to be, whatever. But hey, if you're really passionate about something and you've obviously had that strong interest and passion, I don't think you imagine one day you would be making Star Wars videos for a living since you were a kid, right? Or was that ever a dream of yours, or you just never? No, right?
My parents were shocked. My parents hated me playing video games.
Oh, this is a typical Asian. Can you imagine, Mom?
Exactly. Yeah, like my parents are like, they understand now that like the whole time I was on to something. But yeah, I mean, I just took knowledge from my childhood and turned it into a.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant because I think
it is
all it was.
It still feels like it's a joke of a job, Like sometimes people ask me, like, "What's your job?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really have."
I have.
No, it's brilliant because it's like
syndrome, right?
There's this concept. Yeah, it is imposter syndrome type of thing, but it's like, you guys are making more money than doctors. It's just after 4 or 5. Yeah, I mean, it's been hard 4, 5, 6 years. You've been working your butts off, obviously, but it probably would have been harder to be a doctor than be a YouTube star.
And you'd have all the loans, student loans.
I know, you're like $250,000 in debt. I mean, you guys started with your existing equipment that you had. It wasn't like a huge investment.
Zero input, capital business. Yeah, it just consumer grade cameras. And then actually going back to what Alan was saying about how you can be a little less presentable on YouTube. I think, a lot of YouTube creators, they have risen in value significantly now. So if you want to really make it to the big time, you do need to get the quality up there and the image and stuff. Yeah. But what I would agree with Alan on saying that you can start. It's like you don't need to be super professional from day one.
No, not at all.
Scruffy hair in their mom's basement can have a viral video.
It's real.
1,000 views. Yeah. But gradually, as you become a bigger channel, so you can at least start with nothing, and be successful. And then you can gradually improve as you learn more and you get more income, so you can reinvest it and that kind of thing.
And the reality is, whenever you start a YouTube channel, unless you've worked for a TV network for years, you got to start somewhere. You might have to do 100, 200 videos before you feel even really confident on camera. And that's the truth of it, right? So, so I think it's an ongoing evolution. So you guys have demonstrated that, but it's great to hear from Alan. I don't hate being in front of the camera, and you've got 600,000-700,000 subscribers already. So so moving to another thing, which is from the partnership thing, having the trust factor. Were you guys both doing the editing, initially? Because you both have editing experience. So basically you worked as in conjunction to build up Gen Tech, but you were shooting your own video, editing your own video mostly. Was that right? Or did Alan help shoot your videos, Ben, and vice versa? Or how did that work?
No, we were just doing it ourselves. We didn't even have an office at the beginning. So we were just
it's all homemade, home-based. Okay, that's good. And then how did it, at what point did you guys bring on your team? Because you've got a number of team members now, editors and so on. Do you guys remember, when you hit like 20 grand a month or whatever, then you brought on an editor, or, roughly at what point did you do that?
I don't know. I can't remember actually.
I think we had our first really solid year, right?
After about a solid year, right?
We had a solid year where we made like decent,
decent money.
First, I remember the office came before the editor, right? I think it's right. Yeah. So we first got an office.
I honestly don't remember, dude. I think you're right about that. Right?
Yeah, okay. So
we didn't actually need an office in the beginning at all.
No, we didn't really need it.
Yeah, you don't need an office. You can work from home. You got Zoom, right? That's all we need. But at some point, you brought on an editor, and
you still don't need an office.
You still,
still don't really need it, but yeah,
it's nice to have, I guess. You got money to burn. You got money to burn.
It can be good. Like, it depends, really. Like, if you want to bring people together, like, I don't use it at all because I'm like an hour and a half away. But Alan does have a team working together down there.
Yeah, yeah. So you can have meetings whenever you need it. But so you brought on Julia, right? So you had known her through the TV network as well, through Chris, another YouTuber. And, you know, so she was editing. Does she edit all your videos now, Alan, or part of them? Do you still do any editing yourself?
Pretty much. Like, I'd say 80-90% of them, yeah. I'll edit one every now and then. But, yeah, she's been amazing. Yeah, she's been really great.
Fantastic. That's great. So that's important. I mean, if you look at all the big YouTubers, I'm sure they're not editing anymore. Right? I know Mike Chen has a ton of Filipino editors because it's cost efficient. And that's what we do. We've got a whole bunch of editors that we work on big 6-figure projects for clients, and they're all, you know, Filipino editors. But obviously, you got to be the good director, the producer, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it depends, because if you have someone overseas, it's harder to communicate. Like, literally, our editor now, because we work so closely with her, she can read our minds almost. Like, when I write a script, so mostly she works on Alan's stuff, but she does one video a week for me. And when I write a script, if I write out, like, we have like a color coding for how the, you know, if they're going to show a photo on screen or a clip, and whether it's a break or whether the narration goes over it, and things like that. And it's almost like she can read our minds now because she's so experienced. We've worked with her. So
totally.
Pros and cons. Like, it costs a bit more to hire an American, but or whatever country you're in. But the pro of it is that, like, they can be so
in tune with whatever. Yeah, absolutely. If you are going to outsource, it's not that easy as well. I went through 200-300 applicants to get a couple of really good editors. So it's quite an involved process. You need to be in communication with them pretty much daily. So you build that trust factor, because it's virtual. You don't know where they're going to run off and just do whatever they want to do, because it's hard to monitor. But okay, back to, you gradually built on. Do you have any writers? You have all editors, right? You all have part-time or full-time editors.
You want to talk about trying to hire writers?
Yeah, was that challenging?
Yeah, we've had like mixed success finding writers. The problem with YouTube is, I don't think you can go into the traditional production field and hire people generally. Like, I think that's actually a pretty big mistake. Knowing that I was like a production guy already, you know, doing YouTube and also professional work, because typically people in the professional world want to do like the higher level stuff, and YouTube is not necessarily there for them. So, like, actually going after like a professional editor or a professional writer might not be the best step.
Yeah, and it's expensive,
in my opinion. So we basically, no, well, it's expensive, and also you have to be realistic with what their expectations are. Like, editors want to, I don't know, eventually edit a feature film. That's not something I can give them doing what we do, right? Same thing with the production guy. Like, we have a very simple studio setup. It's not like they're going to be shooting cool stuff all the time. So we, you know, my experience has always been finding like good people that are hardworking. I mean, I know it's really hard to judge that. That's why I've also hired people that I know, like, they don't necessarily need to even have like degrees in that field, but it's just like the ability to work hard is extremely important, and the ability to trust these people, because the skills that you need for YouTube are relatively easy to get. Like, it's not like you can teach basically anyone. It's a lot of hard work, but it's not like rocket science at all, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Good point. So then, so, you know, you guys do your culture building. You go on trips together once every 3 to 6 months, I guess. So that's an important part of building up your team.
We used to.
Okay, before COVID. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere now.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Hopefully soon. Next
New York City. Anyway,
snowboarding or skiing trip.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up here. There's an interesting topic that I asked Ben, like, how many hours do you work a week? 30 plus hours or so. But I know Alan sometimes works a lot harder than me when he wants to take a month off. Tell us a bit about the batch filming strategy that you've been using really effectively, so that you have this amazing lifestyle, right? So how often do you go on, describe leading up to when you take 2 weeks off or whatever you want to take off, right? Go on a trip with your wife. What's that, how intensive does it get, and how many videos do you literally shoot enough to take a 2-week break, or how does that work?
Well, it used to be that I would take like a month off. Nowadays, a week is lucky because we have a lot more projects.
Yeah.
And, when we bring in more people, I actually have to work more, to build those partnerships. But yeah, it's mainly like, this is not a like very easy job as far as hours. Like if you do want to go have fun and also like make the money, you have to pull off maybe 90, 100-hour weeks.
Okay, you guys hear that? That's the truth. That's the truth, all right?
That is the truth. You can get away with a 40-hour week, I think, if you're really skilled and you're really like on point, very focused. I think like Ben has done a really great job at taking the influence from his channels and like laterally integrating a lot of different sponsors and like these other things. And it's just like, it's a very smart method that he's doing. But for the most part, if you're not super talented, which is most people, unfortunately, like you got to just like really get down there, really work hard. Because like, remember, these are all skills. These are all skills you have to learn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all start off at different levels, but yeah, the more you like work at something, like being in front of camera, I'm not a natural speaker in front of the camera, but if I look at like my old videos compared to now, I have improved drastically, like to the point where I can, pull it off kind of.
Yeah, I think that's such a great message. A lot of people, we all have our imposter syndromes. I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too ugly, I'm too Asian, right, to be doing a Western thing, right? I mean, Ben, he's like, he's lived all around the world and yada yada. He's, he's a musician. So, but for us, we don't, it's not necessarily the first thing that comes to mind when we want to be a career, what we want to do in life. But so the batch filming, it's an interesting strategy I've heard from a few different people, because I think number one, if you just do one video every couple of days, but that when you do an intensive amount of filming, you get better. You just like force yourself to shoot and write a whole bunch of scripts. And I think that's a good process to go through. So would you like, when you did take your month off, did you literally just work 100 hours a week for a month and you churned out 20? Would you like write like would you write 6 scripts in a row and then just shoot for 4 hours straight? How would you go about doing the batch filming?
I would, as a rule, I don't film more than like 2 videos a day because that's just my energy level. It takes me about 30 minutes to do a video, and like my mouth literally gets tired. Like there's a lot of things that happen, and as far as writing scripts, I usually don't do more than 2 a day either.
Okay.
Writing for me, the toughest part is writing. For some of the, like American Ben, the guy we work with, he can churn out scripts like nothing. But for me, writing really takes a lot of energy out of me. So like I actually segment, my work as different things. Like when I'm writing, I'm using one part of my brain. When I'm recording, that's another part of my brain. I have to switch it up, back and forth. I cannot record or write 4 episodes in a day. It's basically just working a 7-day work week. And understanding. Nowadays I'm responsible for maybe 5 or 6 videos a week. So like if I can get 1 out a day, that's a good day. On a 7-day schedule. I can get ahead every week by 1 video and slowly build up. The rule that I take is that if I am going to go on vacation, I won't miss the video, because that's the weird thing I have. I guess it keeps me focused in that way. It's not necessarily recommended. I think people can take breaks, honestly, and just not upload a few videos, and that won't be the end of the world. But there's a part of me that always likes having consistent.
Fantastic.
So different channels also can have different strategies. For example, depending on your channel, like for the Credit Shifu channel, what I'll do is if I go on vacation, I'll try not to miss a video, but then also I may do one sort of filler video, like I might do a live stream or something. Just to like a Q&A video or something like that, just to tide it over. Or do some low quality, like if there's breaking news while I'm away, I literally might do an iPhone video just talking about some breaking news in the credit card world. And that sometimes can get, 20,000 views, even though it took 0 effort. But so there are different strategies for different channels. But what the Generation Tech and Generation Films, it's more of a high quality thing. So you couldn't really do a like Q&A video
off the cuff thing,
expecting
Maybe you could. Maybe get Alan be in the Bahamas somewhere and just say, "Here, ask me any questions about Star Wars," right, or whatever. But do you script? Do you use a teleprompter, Alan? Do you ad lib a little bit, or do you mostly follow a teleprompter? The script that you wrote.
We generally, none of us use teleprompters.
The
way I write my scripts is, we could try. It's just like teleprompters you have to set up. You have to,
it's a hassle. Yeah.
You have to do that. The way I do things is like I film immediately after I write my script. So my script is very fresh in my mind. And my script is written in broken English. It's terrible. Like it's the grammatical
conversational English. That's all you need, right?
It's conversational English, right? And oftentimes I'm editing as I'm recording, so like I'll give different takes, and it really pisses off the editors. Like it really makes them angry. It's a lot of work for them, but that's just always been my style because I am churning out, scripts. Probably can improve a little on that though, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I think I find it. You come across more natural, obviously, and you're not following teleprompters exactly. It's a skill. Some people can pull it off.
Kiana, I think we explained this in the course as well, but our scripts are split into short sections because we show videos, clips of movies or a still photo. So you can just memorize a couple of sentences and,
ad lib a little bit.
Ad lib slightly, and then you say that, and then you break, and then you say the next bit. So.
Yeah. Otherwise, sometimes you do 50-minute videos, Alan. I don't know how you just ramble on for 50 minutes.
Oh yeah. It's all written down. Like I didn't have the capacity to memorize more than 2 lines. Ben actually, you have a pretty good on-screen presence. I think I've seen you just off the cuff do videos.
Yeah,
before, Ben's
good.
Which is pretty impressive for me, I think.
Yeah, I have done. I've done unscripted videos. Like with Credit Shufu, for example, I never used to script the videos. I just used to write out bullet points. But now I actually completely script everything. I don't know. It just seems better. It's more planned out.
And you can deliver it in a way. Ordered. That makes sense. So I think it's good to start off with, practicing bullet points and also scripting and being able to ad lib the script that you wrote.
You can also, sometimes when you ad lib as well, some extra jokes will come in and you can leave the mistakes in even sometimes, make it a joke out of it, kind of thing,
Yep. And then finally, the 10th channel you guys are launching. Alan, you guys have another joint venture partner, you could say, with another band, American band, Generation Films spun off. Tell us about the overall strategy, because there's something very unique about what you guys have done. It's you've had 5 channels hit over 100,000 subscribers, so it's amazing, number one. But you, from the beginning, did you have that vision of creating, Generation Film, Snow, like to have this whole media empire of different niches? Was that the original strategy, or you evolved from discussions?
I think like experts will tell you to not do what we did, which is to just focus on one channel and make it massive. And I think for us, there's a variety of factors. Ben, you can jump in, but like one, we wanted to just do different things. There are certain interests that we both have.
Yep.
We also involved new people too, which made us start new channels. That way we basically just do partnerships when we try to start new videos, because we believe that if there is ownership, people will generally be more self-starting in how they approach the thing. And I think it's honestly the best way to do these things, because YouTube is so low cost in the first place. But yeah, like every channel has a different reason why it started, but it's, this was definitely, I don't think it was planned, right? We didn't really have that big of a grand strategy.
The part that's planned was more like creating the content. We had ideas, but we wouldn't really necessarily plan the business and at what stage we want to be at.
Sure. But it's worked really well. It's a brilliant strategy. Now you brought on Ben Ryan as a partner on one channel, Generation Films, and hopefully what we're doing here, if we get, I said to Ben, my pitch was, hey, imagine having tens of thousands of people do YouTube viral mastery, and at some point, some of these guys might pop out and go, hey, I want to partner with you guys, and you might find a channel they want that mentoring, and they're willing to give a certain percentage of the channel, to be part of this network. There are aggregators, I know, it's a slightly different model, but what you've done here is really, really cool. And you also, what's the new channel that's coming out, Alan, with Ben Ryan?
It's called Generation Ochi. That's OCHI. It's mainly focused on Asian cinema.
Asian cinema. You've got a good thing there with the cinema. You got Star Wars, you got Generation Films, which is in general all types of films. But I'll definitely be subscribing to that one. Big fan of Korean dramas, like a lot of people are now. So that should be good.
Yeah, it's huge. It's really big. Like you were talking about jumping in at the right time.
Yeah, timing.
It might be a little late, to be honest. But like as far as the English speaking audience, everyone is really getting into.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Awesome. Brilliant. All right. So final words of advice, Alan. Like any final tips?
I think the main thing is when you do YouTube, especially if you're from an older generation that's used to like TV, film production, like realize that this is an amateur profession, especially if you start a new channel. Like people don't expect you to be perfect. People don't expect you to invest a lot of money. You don't need like an amazing camera. You can just use this webcam, honestly, to start out. It's all about keeping your costs low so that you don't expose yourself to too much, financial danger. I think the best way to try YouTube is as a part-time job first to see if you like it.
Yeah.
And like if you're capable of it. And then, at one point, I do recommend going full-time because I think that's the only way you can really start a meaningful project. But yeah, always make sure to keep your costs low and focus more on the content you're writing, the things that are free, and that just use up your own personal time instead of just buying a lot of material things.
Brilliant. Excellent advice, especially, a lot of people are aspiring YouTubers, but until you give it a shot, right? I've got this coaching program and there's a bunch of people who went through the course, but they still haven't shot a video. I says, look, if you really want to give it a shot, just, take your shot,
right?
Just shoot, and this is a classic example. When we started this recording, my audio wasn't working properly. Alan's audio is, a bit scratchy with the laptop. And I said, look, we just get good content. We've got the good synergy. Let's just do it. If we delay this another day to set up everything, we may never get around to doing it. So, you don't have to be perfect. We apologize for the crazy audio tech that we're having right now, but that's a great example. Give it a shot. Ben wasn't full-time until a couple of years into it. Right. So, you might pivot like you guys pivoted. You might start off with one thing and then realize that this could be, a better angle. So test and try, do follow things that make you, that you're of interest. I said, Ben, why did you get into credit cards? Well, it's not only you can make good money with it, but I was looking into that for my own personal reasons. So, and then you can do all the fun projects like Generation Snow, tax deductible, ski trips, I hear.
Yeah.
Anyway,
if you film videos, you can. Yeah, it's got to be within reason because, like, if you bring like your kids along, you can't really deduct their.
No, not everything. Not everything.
If it's just you, or if it's people who work for the company and you are actually filming videos, a lot of it's going to be tax deductible. Not everything, but a lot of it.
Absolutely.
Plus, we really do enjoy like snow sports. Like it's one of our major things that we like to do.
You guys have,
and yeah.
Oh, it's great. I mean, you guys are good enough to show off some moves as well, so that does help. But look, congrats, guys. You guys have done incredibly well over the last just 5-6 years. And, thank you for spending some time with us and sharing. And hopefully we're going to do some monthly live Q&As, perhaps once in a while, and you can hop on and share some insights with your fans. I'm sure you're going to be giving this a plug. I know Ben is mostly the one presenting, but these fantastic insights from you as well. So appreciate that. All right, guys, may the force be with you. Always have a great one. Can't wait for them. Is there any more Star Wars coming out? What's the latest news there? What's coming?
In May, we're going to see Bad Batch, which is a cartoon TV series about a bunch of like special forces clone troopers. It's really cool. I recommend you guys check it out. Yeah.
That's going to be on Disney Plus?
Disney Plus. It's coming out May something. I should know better. I should be a better Star Wars fan, but I know it's coming out in May sometime. Yeah.
All right. Awesome stuff. All right. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ben. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.